Okay, so now we're going to get into one-step equations, where we're actually going to be solving, not just leaving an expression. All right, so go ahead and start reading, Joshua.
Solving linear equations is an important and fundamental skill in algebra. In algebra, we are often presented with the problem where the answer is known, but part of the problem is missing. The missing part of the problem is what we seek to find. An example of such a problem is shown here.
So it says sometimes we'll have the answer what?
Negative 4.
So what it's saying is sometimes we'll see something like this where we have the answer here, but part of the problem on this side is missing. So we don't know what 4x plus 16, we don't know what this number is. And so to figure that out, what we would do is try to get x by itself. Oh no, we're going to come back to that. Alright, we're going to start somewhere simple. Alright, so can you go down to the next page? Give me that example.
Alright. X plus 7 equals negative 5.
Alright, so let's say we have x plus 7 equals negative 5. So the idea is to figure out what plus 7 is going to give you negative 5. Alright, so to do that, we have to get x by itself. And so to do that, we have to move this number away from it. And so what we do is the opposite of what's there. So this is x plus 7. So to get x by itself, you're going to do minus 7. So that makes that 0. That cancels that out. But since it's an equation, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side to keep it equal. So since I subtract the 7 from this side, I'm going to also subtract 7 from that side. So over here, so that cancels out. And over here, we have negative 5 minus 7. So we know that from our other lessons, negative 5 minus 7 is going to be negative 12. So that would be x equals, okay, so we had negative 5 minus 7, and so x equals negative 12. And so we always want to check our answers when you're doing these one-step equations. Plug in your answer to make sure it's correct. So if I do negative 12 plus 7, then that's going to equal to negative 5. And we can check that on number line. If we start on negative 12 and we add 7, that means we're going to the right, then it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's negative 5. So our answer was correct. Give me the next example.
Alright. 4 plus x equals 8.
Alright, so we have 4 plus x equals 8. Again, basically when you're seeing this, you're asking what number added to 4 will give me 8. Of course, you can probably do that in your head. So we're going to do like we said before, we do the opposite. So this is a positive 4. So we're going to subtract 4. And then we do the same thing on this side and subtract 4. Alright, so that leaves us with 8 equals x equals 8 minus 4, and 8 minus 4 is 4, so x equals 4. And then we plug that into our equation. 4 plus 4, we know 4 plus 4 equals 8. What does it say next?
X equal example.
That's what it says.
What's the next example?
What does it say next?
In the subtraction problem, we get rid of negative numbers by adding to both sides of the equation.
Alright, so what's the example?
X minus 5 equals 4.
Alright, so here we have x minus 5 equals 4. So now we're subtracting. So the question you're asking yourself is, what number can give us 4 when we take away 5 from it? Alright, so we're going to do, since it's subtraction, we're going to do the opposite. And so we're going to add 5, and then we add 5 on this side, so that leaves us with x equals 4 plus 5. Alright, so 4 plus 5 is 9, so x equals 9. Again, plug it into your equation. 9 minus 5 does equal 4. What's next?
Okay, multiplication problem. What's the multiplication?
Alright, so let's say we have negative 10
Equals x minus
plus x equals what?
Said negative 10 equals x minus 7.
Equals 2. Alright, so again we do the opposite. So this is a negative 10 and we want to get x by itself. So you would do plus 10 and then plus 10 on this side. So that leaves us with x equals 2 plus 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. So x equals 12. Again, if you plug it in, you can do negative 10 plus 12. That can rewrite if you just change it around but keep the signs in front of them. That would be positive 12 and then negative 10. So 12 minus 10 equals 2. Or if you think about your number line, you start at negative 10, go up to 0 10 places, and then 2 more, that would be 12, and that's positive 2. So the idea is to move to get x alone. So, alright, so what's next?
Multiplication problem. With the multiplication problem, we get rid of the number by dividing on both sides. For example, consider the following example. 4x equals 20.
Alright, so let's say we have 4x equals 20. Okay, so here we do the opposite again. So we have 4 times x, which is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So to get the x by itself, we're going to divide by 4. Because 4 divided by 4 is 1, so that cancels that out. And then we divide on this side, because what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. Alright, so that leaves us with x equals 20 divided by 4. And 20 divided by 4 is 5.
Alright.
So x equals
With
5. So if we plug that in, we have 5 times 4, and we know 5 times 4 is 20. So that was correct.
I'm gonna go ahead and read the next thing.
Is there another example?
It's still with multiplication. With multiplication problems, it is very important that care is taken with signs. If x is multiplied by a negative when we then we will divide by negative. This is shown in example 49. Negative 5x equals 30.
Alright, so here we have negative 5x equals 30. So we're going to divide again. So we're going to divide by negative 5, because that's a negative. And then we'll divide by negative 5 on this side. And so then that leaves us with x equals 30 over negative 5. 30 divided by negative 5 is negative 6. Because remember, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So if we plug that in, then that gives us negative 5 times negative 6. We know a negative times a negative is a positive. So that would be, and 6 times 5 is 30, so that would be positive 30. So our answer is correct. Are you writing this stuff down? You need to be showing what you're doing in class. Make sure you do the practice problems that we're about to do in a little while.
In division problems, we get rid of denominator by multiplying on both sides. For example, consider our next example. X over 5 equals negative 3.
Alright, so with division, again we do the opposite. So we have x over 5 divided by negative 3. So what we're going to do is multiply by 5. And this crosses out. And then we multiply by 5 on this side. So x equals negative 3 times 5. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. So if we plug that in, that we have negative 15 divided by 5. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And we know 15 divided by 5 is 3. So that is correct. Go ahead.
Practice now. Let's practice problems.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do some practice problems. Come on.
Alright. V plus 9 equals 16.
Joshua.
Alright. 14 equals V plus 3. X equals 11. X minus 11 equals negative 16.
Joshua, just wait.
Negative 14 equals X minus 18.
What?
Negative 14 equals X minus 18. 30 equals 8 plus 20.
Equals what?
8 plus 20. Negative 1 plus K equals 5. Negative 7 minus 7 equals
What?
X minus 7 equals negative 26. Alright, negative 13 plus P equals negative 19.
Alright, so we have b plus 9 equals 16. We're going to do minus 9 and minus 9. So that leaves us with b equals 16 minus 9. That crosses out. So 16 minus 9 is going to be 7. So v equals 7. If we plug it in, that'll be 9 plus 7. 7 plus 9. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. So that is correct. Alright, here we have 14 equals b plus 3. The variable is on the right side now, but it doesn't change. We still want to get that by itself, so we do minus 3. And we do minus 3 on this side, so 14 minus 3 equals b. 14 minus 3 is 11, so 11 equals b. If we add 11 plus 3, we see that that is correct. Alright, number 3, we're going to add 11, because we're subtracting, so we add 11, and then we add 11 on that side, so x equals negative 16 plus 11. Negative 16 plus 11 is negative 5, so x equals negative 5. Here we have negative 14 equals x minus 18. We want to get x by itself, so we add 18 to both sides. That cancels out. So we have negative 14 plus 18 equals x. And negative 14 plus 18, or 18 minus 14, because you can switch them around, is going to be positive 4. So 4 equals x. All right, Joshua. What is this?
What? This? I don't know the formula for each thing.
What formula?
For the adding and subtracting.
You need to back over and you write down these problems. You're just gonna do what you want to do.
I did.
Get over there and work on that board. Oh.
So so the thing is 30 minus 8 plus 20. So you subtract 20 from both sides. And so you cancel out the two 20s. And so what you now do is 30 minus 20 is 30 minus 20 equals 10. And 10 equals 8. Yeah. And to make sure that you're correct, you add. No, you check it. No, what you do with the answer. Make sure that the answer is correct by adding 10 and 20. No. You subtract. Or
What are you doing? I can't see.
yeah, so you add 10 plus 20 and you get 30. Alright, so now negative 1 plus k equals 5. You subtract from both sides, which is going to be yeah. So minus 1 from that side, minus 1 from this side, and 5 minus 1 equals 4. You could make sure that you're correct by doing 4 plus 1, which equals 5.
Alright, stop right there. That is incorrect. Okay. The idea is not to look here at this to get rid of the number. When you're getting the variable alone, that means you have to make what's with it 0. So if you do -1 minus 1, that's not 0, that's -2. So if you have a -1, then you have to add 1 to make that 0. So you add 1 on this side and you add 1 on that side. You do the opposite of what the number is, not what the sign is that you're doing. You do the opposite of the sign that's in front of the number. So here on number 7, we see x minus 7. So since that minus is in front of 7, then we do the opposite and we add 7. Here, because again, if you think about it, if I move these terms around and I put the positive variable first and then do -1, that's k minus 1. That's the same thing. So we would add. So you do the opposite of the sign that's in front of the number. Of course, if I should have let you plug in that answer, because if you'd have plugged in that answer, then it wouldn't have been right.
Alright, so now you do 6 minus.
No, write it out it is.
Write it how it is.
Yeah.
-1.
You can do right if you want.
6 equals 5, which is the same as 6 minus 1, which equals 5.
Ain't nobody hear you. You talking to yourself. So what was the first answer you got for that one when you first did it?
4.
Alright, so plug in 4. When he first did it, he got 4. So plug in 4 to that.
Negative 1 plus 4 equals.
So you can see if that would let him know that he did his math wrong or did a step wrong or something. Alright, so go on to the next one.
Alright, x minus 7 equals -26. So you go ahead and do the opposite, which is positive 7 to both sides.
Adding 7.
Adding 7 to both sides. So the equation, or the thing would be 26 plus 7, which 26 plus
26 plus 7.
-26
You
plus.
have to pay attention to that. Pay attention to your signs. Don't just get rid of them.
-26 plus 7 equals. Alright, -26 plus 7 equals -13. And you'll know this.
Joshua, -26 plus 7?
Wait, no. I don't think.
I don't know, where did you get 13?
Wait. -19. So if you plug it in, it will be -19 minus 7, which -19 minus 7, which is same as -19 plus -7, is going to equal -26. Alright, so number 8 is -13 plus p equals -19. So you add 13 to both sides. And so negative 19 plus 13, which is going to equal, wait, no, so yeah, negative 19, and then you do 19 minus 13, which 19 minus 13 is the same as, alright,
What are you doing to it?
negative 6. And you'll know that if you do,
Can you write P equals negative 6? I'm
oh,
trying to skip stuff.
I forgot about doing that part. And so then if you do negative 13 plus negative 6, then you'll get negative 19.
Give me some multiplication and division. Well, you write these problems down. Or the first one. And no, do number 6 in there. No, Joshua, I just told you do number 6. Why are you still over there writing number 4?
Who's watching?
Nobody.
It says that 2 people are.
That is not for public view. Notice. Really?
What's that supposed to be?
The division. Okay. Give me some division and multiplication.
Some people are laughing.
Oh, me? God.
Alright,
Bro, what did you do to the marker?
that's you. 4r equals negative 28. Negative 9 equals n12.
N 12?
N 12. N over 12. 5 over 9 equals b over 9.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad that came.
20v equals negative 160. Negative 20x equals negative 80.
Equals what?
Negative 80. So one more.
Division.
1 over 2 equals a8. A over 8.
Alright, so for the first one, we have 4r minus 28. So we're multiplying by our variable, so we're gonna divide to get it by itself. So we divide by 4, and then we divide by 4. We do the same thing on both sides of the equations. These 4 cancel out and leave us with r. Negative 28 divided by 4 is 7. Negative 7, because a negative divided by positive is negative. So if we plug that in, we get negative 7 times 4, which is indeed negative 28. Alright, so negative 9 equals n over 12. And we're dividing, so to get our variable by itself, we're going to multiply by 12. And these cancel out. And then we multiply by 12 on this side. And 12 times negative 9 is going to be negative 108. So we do that, Matt.
Okay, yeah.
Negative 108 divided by positive 12 would be negative 9. Alright, so here we have 5 over 9 equals b over 9. And so again, we're going to multiply to get our variable by itself. So we multiply by 9 on this side. And these cancel out and leave us with b. And then we multiply by 9 on this side. And this goes back to our previous lessons of multiplication. So we know we just go across. This is the same as 9 over 1. So 9 times 5. 9 times 5.
Equals 45.
45. And then 9 times 1 is 9. So 45 divided by 9 is 5. So 5 equals b. Which if we plug it in, then we see that 5 over 9 does equal 5 over 9. Alright, so here we have 20b. Actually, Joshua, come up with these three.
Alright, so 20b equals negative 160. So first you divide the numbers, the opposite, or we divide on both sides. So it'll be negative 20
Why are you dividing by negative 20?
because it's opposite.
No, I never say anything about dividing by an opposite. That's with subtraction and addition.
By
You
20.
divide by the number that it is to cancel it out. Or you multiply by what number it is to cancel it out. You don't change the sign when you're dividing and multiplying. Wait, stop right there so I can explain that. When I say that you're doing the opposite, I mean you're doing the opposite of what math you're doing. So earlier when I said negative 1 plus k, and I say you're doing the opposite. It's not it is the sign, but it's what the sign represents. That's the same as subtracting. Like I said, if I move these around and put the positive k first, and then put the negative 1, that's subtracting 1. So don't think about it as changing the sign. You have to understand that that's like subtracting 1, so you're going to add 1 instead. So here, with division and multiplication, when I'm talking about doing the opposite, you're doing the opposite of division. So it's not about changing the sign. It's about doing the opposite of what you were doing before. Whether it's, if you're adding, then you're subtracting. If you're subtracting, then you're adding. If you're multiplying, then you're going to divide. If you're dividing, then you're going to multiply to get the variable alone.
Alright, so 460 divided by 20, which I could just go ahead and do this on the side. Oh no, it's going to equal. No, I would just do it on the side. So 20 can't go into. It can only go into 160. Yeah.
When it goes into 100, how many times? And 20 goes into 60, how many times?
Yeah. No.
That's not right.
I mean, so. So 20 divided by 160 divided by 20 equals 8. So the answer is going to be V equals, oh no, you still have the negative. So, but you already know that 160 divided by 20 equals 8. So the answer is going to be V equals negative 8. And if you do 20 times negative 8, then you'll get negative 160. So now you do, no, number 5, negative 20x equals negative 80. So you divide negative 20 from negative 20 and negative 20 from negative 80, which negative 80, well, negative 20 divided by negative 80 divided negative 20 is going to equal positive 4. So x equals 4. Negative 20 times 4 equals negative 80. So now number 6 is 1 over 2 equals 9, 8 over 8. So you, with the denominator, oh yeah, so it's the same as you doing
What's the opposite of division?
multiplication. But I know they're supposed to multiply it.
What's the issue? Why are you multiplying by 2? What's the object when you have a variable? What's the object?
Oh yeah, to get rid of the, to figure out what the variable is.
No, what is the object? I know you're figuring out but what's the first step to get the variable by itself?
Take away the number that's by it.
So if you're dividing by 8 and the opposite of division is multiplication, that means you need to multiply by 8 to get that canceled out to get 8 by itself. Write it all out. Don't you know nothing in your head.
Alright, so 8 times 1/2 is the same as 8 over. This equals 8 over 2, which is the same as 4 over 1, which is the same as 4. So the answer is going to be 4 equals 8. And if you can tell, if you do 1 over 2 equals 4 over 8. And 4 over 8 divided by 2. Or if you simplify it, it's going to equal 1/2. Which 1/2 is equal to 1/2.
Alright. Go write them first 3 problems in your notebook. Did you write all three? Okay, so we're gonna stop there. Well, I'm gonna give y'all some home after school work. do that right